In a galaxy vast and boundless, where civilizations rose and fell, the Galactic War Games stood as the ultimate test of strength and honor. Planets from across star systems came to compete, risking their wealth, resources, and even sovereignty. For Earth, it was a high-stakes gamble, with everything on the line. In this arena of superpowered champions wielding weapons crafted from the finest galactic tech, Earth's representatives were a peculiar sight, especially its lone contender, an elderly Swordmaster, small in stature yet calm and resolute. His chosen weapon was a simple, ancient sword, a relic compared to the sleek energy sabers and plasma blasters that his alien counterparts brandished. The galactic champions, veterans of countless wars and masters of their own hyper-advanced arsenals, could barely contain their amusement. Earth's weapons, to them, were fossils, primitive relics from a time long past. Earth's selection of an aged warrior seemed almost a parody of competition itself. Why would anyone bring a sword, a mere piece of metal, to a fight where energy fields and neurolinked weapons reigned supreme? Laughs echoed across the stadium, and the champions mocked Earth's decision openly, some betting how quickly he would fall, others questioning Earth's sanity. The Swordmaster, undeterred by the ridicule, stood silently. His focus wasn't on the crowd or their taunts. It was on the tournament itself, on the task ahead. For him, this was more than a fight. It was a testament to Earth's legacy, to the warriors who had come before him, and to the traditions that had endured for thousands of years. His sword, though simple in appearance, was an artifact, imbued with enchantments forged through generations of wisdom and experience. It was not simply a weapon but a symbol, a channel through which he could connect with his ancestors, carrying their spirit into each movement and each strike. As the first match was announced, the crowd grew quiet, their anticipation palpable. Across from the Swordmaster stood a formidable opponent, a towering alien clad in an exosuit that thrummed with energy, a fusion cannon affixed to its arm. This champion sneered, raising his weapon with a boastful grin, as if to remind the crowd of the obvious: this duel would be short. The Swordmaster, however, met his gaze, his expression unchanging, calm, and devoid of any fear. The announcer's voice rang out, signaling the start of the duel. The alien charged, his energy weapon blazing, releasing powerful blasts aimed directly at the Swordmaster. But with remarkable grace, the Swordmaster sidestepped each shot, moving effortlessly as though anticipating each move. His movements weren't rushed, each step deliberate and precise. He wasn't merely dodging, he was studying his opponent, assessing his style, strengths, and weaknesses. As his alien foe grew frustrated, firing more recklessly, the Swordmaster remained collected, avoiding every attack without raising his sword. When the alien grew close, the Swordmaster made his first move, drawing his sword in a smooth, almost imperceptible motion. The crowd gasped as a faint aura radiated from the blade, a glow that seemed to pulse with an energy of its own, as if alive. The alien swung a fist, but the Swordmaster deflected it effortlessly, redirecting the alien's weight off balance with a single, fluid strike. The clash wasn't merely a display of skill, it was an embodiment of his entire life's discipline, honed through years of relentless practice and an unwavering belief in his art. A series of movements followed, each one more astonishing than the last. The alien's strikes became frantic, yet none could touch the Swordmaster. The precision with which he maneuvered, each move calculated and deliberate, left the audience stunned. The Swordmaster wasn't just wielding a weapon, he was dancing, a rhythm to which only he knew the tune, one honed by centuries of Earth's martial heritage. Each strike from his opponent was deflected, redirected, neutralized with elegance and poise. Frustration visible on his opponent's face, the alien unleashed a powerful blast, a surge of energy designed to end the battle in one move. But in a single swift motion, the Swordmaster raised his blade, allowing the energy to strike it. To everyone's astonishment, the energy didn't dissipate or burn through the sword. Instead, it seemed absorbed, drawn into the blade's aura. The sword pulsed, its light intensifying, as if energized by the very force meant to destroy it. The alien took a step back, fear flickering in his eyes as he struggled to comprehend how a mere blade could withstand his advanced weaponry. As the alien staggered, the Swordmaster moved in, closing the distance with a speed that belied his age. He struck with a series of rapid, precise blows, not to kill, but to disarm and disable. The alien's weapon fell to the ground, and with one final sweep, the Swordmaster brought his blade inches from his opponent's neck, freezing in place, a silent victory. The duel was over. The alien, realizing his defeat, dropped to his knees, his arrogance shattered. The stadium fell silent. There was no laughter, no mocking. What had been perceived as a joke, a frail old man wielding a relic, was now a symbol of awe. The Galactic champions, some of whom had joined in the mocking laughter, looked on in shock, their expressions transformed from amusement to respect, even fear. The Swordmaster sheathed his blade, his face still serene, as if nothing extraordinary had happened. He nodded once to his defeated opponent, acknowledging the duel's honor, and then turned, ready to face the next challenger. As the Swordmaster stepped away, whispers spread among the crowd. The Galactic champions were beginning to understand that Earth's strength wasn't in technology or brute force but in something deeper, more profound. For the first time, the champions began to question their assumptions, realizing that Earth's representative might be more than a simple combatant. This was someone who had transcended the need for advanced weaponry. He had become the weapon, a force honed by purpose and mastery rather than machinery. And so, the Galactic War Games continued, with the Swordmaster leaving his mark in each duel. Earth's name, once a joke among the stars, was now on the lips of every champion, every spectator, as they wondered how this lone warrior with an ancient blade could defy everything they believed about power and dominance. The stadium was buzzing as the first duel concluded, and whispers circulated among the Galactic champions. Though his win had left them uneasy, many remained dismissive, chalking it up to luck or perhaps the Swordmaster's unexpected agility. But as he prepared for his next duel, the champions could sense a shift in the air. The elderly man with the ancient blade wasn't fazed by the victory. It seemed to only deepen his focus, his calm and quiet resolve sharpening with each step. His next opponent was one of the galaxy's finest, a warrior with a plasma saber and reflexes enhanced by neural implants, a true embodiment of cutting-edge warfare. The audience leaned forward, sensing that this was the match where Earth's champion would inevitably falter. The two opponents faced each other, a quiet tension building between them. The alien warrior, towering and fierce, ignited his plasma saber, its glow filling the arena with an intense light. Earth's Swordmaster, however, stood unarmed, his sword sheathed, his gaze steady. The alien charged, moving faster than any ordinary being could track, his saber slicing through the air with deadly precision. But the Swordmaster didn't flinch. With a calm, deliberate motion, he stepped to the side, dodging the swing by mere inches. His movements were minimal but exact, each step a measured response rather than a reaction, as if he was always one step ahead, as if he knew where his opponent would strike before he even moved. The alien swung again, faster this time, confident in his superior reflexes and technology. But the Swordmaster moved effortlessly, his evasion so fluid it felt as if he were part of the air itself. Each miss seemed to unnerve the alien further, who began striking wildly, determined to land a blow. And yet, with each attempt, the Swordmaster only deepened his rhythm, maintaining a perfect balance, almost like he was leading a dance rather than fighting. The crowd watched, mesmerized. No matter how advanced the alien's neural enhancements were, they couldn't match the Swordmaster's instinct, his ability to read his opponent's intent and respond with precision. In a single, swift motion, the Swordmaster drew his blade, meeting the alien's saber mid-swing. There was a flash as the plasma saber clashed against the sword, but rather than melt or break, the sword held firm, glowing with an otherworldly aura that resonated with each strike. It wasn't an ordinary sword, it was bound to something far beyond the material, drawing from a lineage of masters who had poured their spirit into it, giving it a resilience that technology couldn't replicate. The alien warrior hesitated, taken aback by the sword's mysterious resilience. He recalibrated, adjusting his approach, but the Swordmaster didn't wait. With a single step forward, he closed the distance, his sword a blur as it met the alien's saber with an elegant, effortless deflection. It wasn't a show of brute force but of complete mastery, a technique refined over centuries of discipline, precision, and understanding. The alien, now frustrated and visibly shaken, activated his neural enhancements to the maximum, increasing his speed and strength. But the Swordmaster met every strike, every thrust, with a calm focus, deflecting each blow with minimal effort. It was as if he had no need for strength. He merely allowed his opponent's momentum to fuel his counters. The alien's frustration mounted, his strikes growing more erratic, more desperate, as he realized he was being outmatched not by power but by pure technique. Then, with a single, fluid motion, the Swordmaster sidestepped, raising his blade to strike with a quiet finality. His movement was almost invisible, a mere flicker, and yet, in that moment, the alien's weapon fell to the ground, disarmed with a finesse that left the entire arena silent. It wasn't just a defeat, it was a demonstration of mastery so complete that even the most technologically advanced tools were rendered ineffective. The alien stood frozen, unable to process what had happened, his weapon lying at his feet, his pride shattered. The crowd, too, was stunned. What they had just witnessed wasn't brute force or technology overpowering technology. It was something much more profound. The Galactic champions, some who had scoffed moments earlier, now wore expressions of disbelief mixed with a newfound respect. Earth's Swordmaster didn't rely on any enhancements, nor did he wield an advanced weapon. What he had was a lifetime of training, a discipline that technology could never replicate, and a weapon bound to Earth's traditions and history, each movement carrying the weight of 1,000 generations. The Galactic champions began to realize they had underestimated more than just the Swordmaster. They had underestimated Earth itself, its legacy, its ancient wisdom, and its ability to forge warriors who could transcend the limitations of the modern, hyper-advanced battlefield. Each victory was a lesson in humility for the champions, who prided themselves on their technology and their assumption of superiority. For the Swordmaster, however, each duel was simply another step in a journey, a chance to demonstrate not the power of his weapon, but the strength of the spirit behind it. As he left the arena, whispers followed him. The Galactic champions, who once saw Earth's primitive weaponry as little more than archaic artifacts, were beginning to understand that there was more to combat than machines, enhancements, and raw force. The Swordmaster had shown them that true mastery was timeless, that in the heart of a warrior lay the real weapon, one that couldn't be created in a lab or manufactured with alien technology. It was a truth so simple yet so profound that it left the entire arena silent in awe. Each step the Swordmaster took left a lasting impression, a reminder that Earth's strength was not to be dismissed. The Swordmaster's next battles came swiftly, each duel a testament to his quiet, unshakable resolve. He moved through opponents who wielded weapons with abilities that dazzled the senses, blades made of plasma, whips charged with electrostatic energy, shields that could block nearly any force. Yet, with every strike, every evasion, he showed that no amount of high-tech prowess could replace skill, discipline, or understanding. His approach was as steady as his gaze, a relentless rhythm of measured steps, fluid dodges, and precise counters. Each alien he faced brought their own weaponry and fighting style, but they all ended the same way, with the Swordmaster standing victorious, calm as still water. What perplexed his opponents was not just his ability to keep up but the ease with which he read their movements, sensing each shift in stance, each tightening of muscle that hinted at their next strike. He saw through their tricks, countering their complex strategies with simple, graceful moves that made their enhancements seem overcomplicated, even burdensome. The Galactic champions couldn't understand how he fought as if he already knew their every move, as if their hyper-advanced tactics were just crude variations of the thousands of battles that Earth's warriors had faced across centuries. Each time he defeated a new challenger, the champions who watched felt their confidence chip away. They had relied on their machines, their enhancements, and sophisticated technology, and here was this human, no armor, no cybernetic implants, moving with an ancient elegance they couldn't comprehend. They began to see a pattern in his fighting. His way of predicting each action wasn't instinct alone. It was the result of discipline, of years spent understanding the language of movement and battle. It became clear that his power wasn't in his sword but in his mastery of it, a mastery that didn't need enhancements because it was drawn from something older and far more resilient than technology. In these duels, the champions began to see the Swordmaster's weapon in a new light. It was no ordinary blade but a symbol of Earth's unique strength. Passed down through generations, it held the spirit and wisdom of those who wielded it before, each victory and each loss forged into the metal. For the Galactic champions, their weapons were merely tools, machines created for destruction. But for the Swordmaster, his blade was part of him, a companion in his journey, a reflection of the philosophy that defined him. The champions were forced to acknowledge that their weapons, despite their power, lacked the same connection, the same unity with their wielder. It was a realization that left them shaken, even resentful. As he progressed, his victories began to feel like a message to his opponents. Strength was not about the weapon but the heart and mind guiding it. In every duel, he fought with an unspoken humility, a respect for the art of combat that none of the champions had ever encountered. For him, each movement wasn't about winning or losing but about expressing something fundamental, an understanding of balance, patience, and the silent strength of control. To the champions raised on the belief that their technology was superior, this humility was an alien concept, something that felt both unsettling and, strangely, admirable. The Galactic Council, initially indifferent, now watched the Swordmaster's progress with growing interest. They saw him defeat opponents who outclassed him in size, power, and weaponry, yet were still left at his mercy. It was as if the Swordmaster was uncovering a flaw in their entire way of life, exposing the arrogance they held in their advancements. For the first time, the council members questioned the values they had held so dear. They had prided themselves on their progress, their ability to improve, to evolve with each new technology. But now, as they observed the Swordmaster, they couldn't help but wonder if something vital had been lost along the way. The champions, some of whom were once eager to face him, began to hesitate. There was a quiet fear now, a reluctance to step into the ring with someone who defied everything they believed. Each victory he claimed felt like a deeper loss for them, as if each duel was slowly unraveling the foundation of their strength. They realized that no matter how much they augmented themselves, no matter how advanced their weapons became, there was something in the Swordmaster's technique that they couldn't replicate or understand. The final duel was drawing near, and the champions, now stripped of their arrogance, looked on with a mixture of respect and apprehension. The Swordmaster had become more than a competitor. He was a lesson in humility, a reminder that technology could not replace spirit, that wisdom could not be programmed or enhanced. His calm, unwavering gaze had seen through each of them, showing them that their advancements were only surface deep, unable to touch the profound core from which he drew his strength. It was a strength that transcended generations, a strength born of understanding oneself, one's weapon, and the path they both walked. For the Galactic champions, who had always measured worth in terms of power and control, the Swordmaster was a revelation. Here was a man whose strength came not from what he wielded but from what he was, from a tradition rooted in something deeper than they could ever grasp. With each opponent he defeated, he left behind a part of himself, a quiet reminder that Earth's legacy was not to be dismissed or underestimated. And as the final duel approached, the champions knew that they were about to witness a battle that would change their view of strength forever. As the final duel approached, the entire Galactic Council gathered, along with every champion who had faced defeat by the Swordmaster's hand. There was a solemnity in the air, a recognition that what they were about to witness was more than a competition, it was a reckoning. The reigning Galactic champion stood across from the Swordmaster, his armor a gleaming testament to the finest technology, his weapon humming with untold power. He was the last hope for those who still clung to the belief in the absolute superiority of their advancements. And yet, as he looked at his opponent, he felt a doubt gnawing at the edges of his confidence. The two combatants faced each other, the crowd holding its collective breath. The Galactic champion raised his weapon, a monstrous blade powered by advanced energy cores, each pulse a threat of overwhelming force. The Swordmaster, still and composed, met the champion's gaze with the same quiet intensity he had shown in every duel. He held his sword as if it were part of him, its aura subdued yet unwavering. There was a calmness to his stance, an unspoken promise that he was ready for whatever came his way. The champion attacked, his strikes fast and calculated, each blow carrying the weight of advanced engineering and raw power. The arena vibrated with the force of his strikes, but the Swordmaster moved with an elegance that defied the violence around him. Each time the champion's blade neared, the Swordmaster deflected it with a subtle motion, redirecting the energy rather than blocking it outright. It was a dance of precision and purpose, each move in answer to the champion's brute strength. To the crowd, it was like watching the past confront the future, and they couldn't look away. The champion grew more aggressive, determined to overpower the Swordmaster, yet every strike seemed only to strengthen his opponent's resolve. The Swordmaster didn't falter, his movements flowing seamlessly, as if he were merely guiding his opponent's energy rather than resisting it. It became evident that he was drawing on something more than skill. He was channeling a lifetime of dedication, a lineage of warriors who had honed their craft through discipline and understanding. His sword was more than a weapon, it was an extension of his will, his history, his identity. As the duel intensified, the champion began to understand the depth of the Swordmaster's power. He wasn't facing a mere soldier. He was facing an embodiment of Earth's heritage, a legacy bound to the steel in his hand. Each strike he landed was met not with resistance but with absorption, as if the Swordmaster's blade was drinking in the energy, transforming it into something beyond the champion's comprehension. The champion hesitated, sensing an unfamiliar feeling, respect mingled with fear. This was an enemy unlike any he had faced, a man who could not be broken by force alone. Then, with a sudden fluidity, the Swordmaster took control, his blade moving in a pattern that was both complex and effortless. He closed the distance between them, his movements as graceful as they were relentless. The Galactic champion, despite his strength, found himself unable to match the rhythm of the Swordmaster's strikes. Each clash of their weapons rang with finality, a testament to the unyielding will that had carried Earth's warrior to this moment. It was as if the blade was alive, whispering secrets of every warrior who had ever wielded it, each one lending strength to the man who now held it. The champion's confidence faltered as he felt his own energy slipping away, consumed by the unbreakable presence of his opponent. The Swordmaster's strikes grew more decisive, his movements perfectly aligned with his purpose. He wasn't merely fighting, he was embodying a timeless truth, that true strength lies not in the weapon but in the heart that wields it. The champion, stripped of his technology's assurance, stood vulnerable, his last defenses crumbling as the Swordmaster's final blow disarmed him. Silence filled the arena as the Galactic champion dropped his weapon, humbled and defeated. The crowd, initially shocked, began to grasp the depth of what they had just witnessed. This wasn't a simple victory for Earth. It was a revelation that forced them to confront the limits of their reliance on technology. The Galactic champions, who had once mocked Earth's primitive ways, now understood that they had overlooked a fundamental truth. They had built their strength on advancements and enhancements, but in doing so, they had lost sight of something irreplaceable: the spirit, the dedication, the heritage that the Swordmaster had carried into every battle. The Galactic Council, previously indifferent to Earth's presence, stood in awe, realizing that they had just witnessed the triumph of tradition over innovation. Earth's representative had proven that a warrior's power was not in what he wielded but in the legacy he upheld. It was a humbling moment for the champions, who had seen strength as something quantifiable, measurable by the caliber of one's weapons or the scope of one's technology. The Swordmaster had shown them that true strength was timeless, drawn from a depth of character that no machine could replicate. As the Swordmaster sheathed his blade, he left the arena without a word, his victory a quiet reminder that Earth's ways were not to be dismissed. He had come to represent more than himself, more than his planet. He was the embodiment of an ideal that defied the limits of technology. And as he walked away, the champions looked on with a newfound respect, realizing that their understanding of power would never be the same. In the days that followed, the Galactic Council convened to discuss the implications of Earth's victory. They acknowledged that the Swordmaster had forced them to reconsider their beliefs, their values. His victory had reminded them that while technology could evolve, true mastery was rooted in something beyond the material. Earth, once viewed as an insignificant world with outdated customs, was now seen as a planet with wisdom, a planet that had held on to a strength that could withstand the ages. The Galactic champions, humbled and changed, began to integrate new forms of training into their routines, seeking to balance their reliance on technology with the timeless skills they had once scorned. And across the galaxy, stories of the Swordmaster spread, inspiring a new generation of warriors who aspired to wield not just weapons but wisdom, courage, and purpose. The Swordmaster's legacy lived on, a testament to Earth's enduring power, a reminder that strength isn't just found in the weapon, it lies in the warrior's soul.